Hey guys, what's up? It's Charlie here, and today we're going to be looking at 11 riddles to test your brain power. We all know riddles can be easy to solve, but these are ones which have been tried and tested, and only a true genius gets these correct. Try them all out, and if you got 8 out of 11 at the end, you have a high IQ and maybe a genius. Before we get into it, be sure to subscribe to my new channel, The Crafty. There's a link in the top right corner now, check it out. Coming in at number 10, we have long line. This isn't just a riddle, but an optical illusion as well. Take a look at these two lines. One has 2 circles inside it, and the other one has 2 on either side. Now this should be an obvious question, but here's the riddle. Which line is the longer line? I'll give you a second to think about it, but feel free to pause if you want longer. The answer to this is actually rather surprising. That is, that the top and bottom lines are actually the same length. This doesn't look the case, but if you remove one line, you'll see they match up perfectly. There are 2 things that make this trick work. Firstly, the circles make it seem like one line is a lot longer, and the other line is positioned higher than the other one, making it seem a lot smaller. This is a test 99.5% of people get wrong, but if you got it right, you're a visual genius. Coming up next is elevator. Now this is a mind-blowingly hard riddle that only somebody who really thinks outside the box can get. But this is a very famous riddle in Canada and some parts of the USA. And when I say you have to think outside the box to get this one, I'm not kidding. Here it is. A man lives on the 10th floor of a building. Every day he takes the elevator down to the ground floor to go to work or to go shopping. Then when he comes back, he takes the elevator to the 7th floor and then takes the stairs the rest of the way to get to his apartment. Why does he do this? I'll give you guys a second to work it out, but feel free to pause the video if you need more time. The answer to this is that the man is a dwarf and can only reach the button for the 7th floor as the 10th floor button is too high. This is why he has to go to the 7th floor and then take the stairs. What's funny is this riddle originated from a real dwarf. He couldn't reach the button for the floor he lived on, and that's how this mind-bending riddle came to be. Next up is Five Guys. No, this isn't about the restaurant, although that place is pretty good. This is a surprisingly dark riddle to give you guys a hint. Here it goes. 5 guys are walking and then it starts to rain. 4 of the guys pick up the pace, but the other guy makes no effort to escape the rain. Lazy. But despite this, the 4 men who tried to get out of the rain get wet, while the other guy does not. They all arrive at the same destination together at the end. Now, explain this. And to give you guys another hint, not all of the guys were walking. So after giving you 2 hints, try answering this for yourself to see if you're a genius. I'll give you a second, but pause if you want. Okay, the answer was that the 4 men were pallbearers and the 5th man was in a coffin. See what I meant when I said this riddle was kind of dark? Yeah, not only was the guy lazy, this guy wasn't even alive. I'm just kidding, but this is one tricky riddle which some can solve, but it does blow a lot of people's minds. One thing this riddle definitely does do is make me hungry for some Five Guys. Next up is a man and his car. This is one seriously crazy riddle which will blow your mind. But another thing this riddle does is make you feel really stupid, because the answer is so obvious once you get it. Here it is. A man pushes his car and stops in front of a hotel. Then at that very moment, he goes bankrupt. Why is this? I'll give you a minute to think, but you can pause if you want. The answer is simple. He was playing Monopoly. In case you don't know, a car is one of the main figures that you can play Monopoly with. And if you land on a hotel, it means you have to pay a big fine. So when one man pushed his car piece onto a hotel on a Monopoly board, he went bankrupt. This sounds like a real situation, which is why the riddle confuses so many people. But if you got this right, then you really do think outside the box and may even be a genius. Just remember guys, the banker always wins in Monopoly, especially if it's me. I always slip myself a few hundred extra. Next up is mistake. This is another riddle which tests all areas of your brain. It's very simple. In fact, you could say it's as easy as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Take a look at this image and find the mistake. It should be easy, so I'll give you guys just a little while, but you can always pause. So there are 2 parts to this image, right? The numbers and the colors. You may have thought the number sequence was wrong, but no, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it must have been the color sequence then. Nope, wrong again. If you didn't get it, you may be saying at this point, what is wrong with this image? Well, it's actually in the question. Take a look at the question and you'll see it says find the mistake. This is such a tiny detail only the eagle-eyed or quick-brained people will get. This is such an awesome riddle and only around 70% of people get this right. So if you got this, congrats, you either think fast or have a good eye. Next up is Coal Carrot Hat. This is another tricky psychological test only a true genius would be able to work out. And this one really requires you to think outside the box. Here we go, there are 5 pieces of coal, a carrot and a hat laying on the lawn. Nobody put them there, but they're in a specific order for a reason. Why are they there, and why are they in that order? I'll give you guys a while to think about it, but you can always pause it if you like. The answer was that they were parts of a snowman that melted. That's right, these are all parts of a snowman, and they're in that order because that's the order of where they are on a snowman. This requires a lot of thinking as you have to unpack the riddle and think of it backwards. This is a difficult one to get, but if you worked it out, congratulations! Next up is Fish Tank. This one riddle seems so simple, but really it's pretty tricky. So, riddle me this. 10 fish are in a tank, 2 drown, 4 swim away, and 3 pass away. I'll give you guys only a little while to think about this because it's not too hard, but you can always pause it if you want to give it a longer think. The answer is all 10 fish are left inside the tank. You may be thinking, how is this possible? But the answer is very simple once you think about it carefully. The 4 fish that swam away are still in the tank because there's nowhere to swim to but elsewhere in the tank. Also, the 2 fish that passed away would simply float to the top and would still be in the tank. And finally, the 2 fish that drowned doesn't even make sense because fish can't drown, so they'd still be in the tank. This seems like a tricky question, but once you break it down into sections, you can see how easy this question really is to answer. This again requires you to think outside the box, but unlike the line length riddle from earlier, more people get this right. Around 40% of people get this, so you're still in the minority, but don't go thinking you're Einstein just yet. Leave that to the end. Next up is Adam and Eve. Okay, this riddle is kind of confusing, but funny once you get it. A man passes away and goes to heaven. He sees people everywhere, but nobody's wearing any clothes. He then sees a man and a woman and instantly knows they're Adam and Eve. But how did he know this? Here's a hint, it wasn't because they were wearing fig leaves. I'll give you a second to think, but as always, pause if you want. The actual answer to this is that Adam and Eve don't have belly buttons, so you can easily tell it's them. Everyone else had parents who gave birth to them, so they would have belly buttons. But because Adam and Eve didn't have parents as they were the first people to ever exist, they wouldn't have had belly buttons. This riddle requires a lot of thought, and you really need to think about the fine details. Next up is Man in the Bar. This is another riddle which really makes you think outside the box. Here it is, a man walks into a bar and asks the bartender to give him a glass of water. The bartender looks under the bar for something and then pulls out a gun and points it at the man. The man then says, "Thank you," and leaves the bar. And that's it. This one is very hard, so I'll give you some time, or you can pause. The answer to this was that the man had hiccups and he wanted water for that, but another way to get rid of the hiccups is to get scared. When the bartender pulled out a gun, it scared the guy as it would and he was cured of his hiccups. This is a very odd riddle because you just don't see the end coming, but when you get there it's pretty funny even if you got it right or wrong. And a bonus, if you did get it right, then you're well on your way to becoming a genius. Coming up next is Dog Pants. This is a little extra funny riddle to end off with. Let me ask you a really odd but interesting question. If dogs wore pants, would they wear them like this or like this? This is something you've probably never thought of before, unless you were on something. But guys, what do you think it would be? Would dogs wear pants like option A or option B? Vote in the poll in the top right corner to decide. There are a few other options creative people have come up with, but we'll stick to A or B. This is just a funny riddle, but depending on what you think and what the poll says, this could still determine whether you're a genius or not. As I said before guys, be sure to head over to The Crafty and please do subscribe. There's amazing videos posted on there every single week, so check it out. And if you comment on the latest Crafty video saying you subscribed, you'll get a shout out in the next Top 10s video. Well, as always, thanks for watching. Check out some more videos on screen right now. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and if you haven't already, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to Top 10s.